Look, we are the descendants of enslaved Africans of the Western Hemisphere. We're not like all of these other people who live here. They're regional, they're local, right? We're not. We're the product of the largest forced migration of humans from one part of the world across the ocean to the other in the history of man. We are the product of the largest captive migration of humans from one part of the world across the ocean to the other in the history of man, to the extent that we inhabit the entirety of the Western Hemisphere. Well, that event is not likely to happen again. It was the first time it ever happened. It's unlikely to ever happen again, which means that those of us who are the descendants of enslaved Africans of the Western Hemisphere are clearly the most unique and distinct culture of people uh, on the face of the earth and to ever walk the face of the earth, arguably. We range in body color from snow white to coal black. We have intermingled with every culture of people in the Western Hemisphere. We are the largest and most widespread culture of people throughout the Western Hemisphere. Uh, and what you essentially need to know to sum it up is that demographic reality is reality. Everything else is propaganda. Anybody can draw a circle around you and declare that you are a circularian. And the extent to which you embrace circularian as your identity is the extent to which those who drew the circle own you. They own your mind. They own your reality. So it's very important that when you define yourself, that you look upon the land with no lines at all, so that you can accurately understand the scope of your presence. And if you fail to do that, then you will never acknowledge what the earth reflects as a result of your presence upon it. Remember, you can't tell the human story and leave the descendants of enslaved Africans of the Western Hemisphere out of it. Remember that when you attempt to tell the story of human civilizations, when you get to the end, you will have to end with the descendants of enslaved Africans of the Western Hemisphere, because they, and they alone, are the basis of the largest and most culturally diverse human civilization of all time. And that's what's important to understand. And so the perspective that we've been operating from is not our own. Of course, we know now that you can't even make the most of what you have, where you are, when you misperceive yourself, right? You have to have an empowered perspective of yourself. You have to have a dominant perspective of yourself. If you fail to do that, then even if you're strong, you'll lose, right? It's better to be weak from a perspective of strength than it is to be strong from a perspective of weakness. Because in time, your perspective, not what you see, but how you see it, will turn your weakness into a strength, or it'll turn your strength into a weakness. Demographically speaking, the entirety of the Western Hemisphere is already the great kingdom of the descendants of enslaved Africans of the Western Hemisphere. Everyone else here is just in it.